Welcome back to another episode of
Nice.
the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who hopefully doesn't break his neck on stream here, Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. That would kind of put a damper on the show, I would say. But doing good. Doing good. How you doing, man?
Yes, I'm doing good as well. I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like usually around this time of year, the season kind of slows down a little bit. I feel like it's still just as interesting as it. There's almost like that pre-slowdown before it gets like really exciting the last like couple weeks. I feel like still very excited this week.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, these playoff pictures, especially towards the bottom of the conferences, are still so wide open that it all still seems very much up for grabs. Especially, I mean, this AFC. I mean, you could still talk yourself into 7 or 8 teams still making the playoffs here. So, lots to talk about there. I think it's going to be interesting down to the wire. And we knew before the season this conference was going to be so competitive. But seeing it play out this way, where there are still so many teams in the picture, I think it's awesome to watch.
Yeah. Well, speaking of awesome to watch, good Monday Night Football game. Let's start there, as we always do, recap that before we get into the picks for next week. Oh, actually, before we get into this, I have to mention some programming note. Each of the next 2 weeks and 2 Sundays, we will not be podcasting. No Sunday podcast each of the next 2 Sundays due to just holidays, Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve. So if you're currently on Sunday, watch this video, figure out if there's any note. Yeah, this is the note. Unfortunately, won't be able to podcast then.
Yeah. We'll talk about it all Wednesday, so you'll definitely get a little bit of a recap. Won't be quite as long as the hour show, but family stuff happens, so I guess.
Yeah, and we'll still be doing the Wednesday show as scheduled, and then we'll be back for Sunday show after that for the final week of the season. So, nothing interesting is going to happen the last next 2 weeks, right, Kyle? We'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, what could possibly happen?
No, probably not anything. Kyle, Drew Lock and the Seattle Seahawks playing the Eagles in kind of a must-win for Seattle. It felt like we talked about that rough 4-game stretch of 4 great teams. They lost to the first 3, and then going up against the Eagles. Let's start off with the positives. Let's start off with Seattle, who finds a way to win this one. Drew Lock plays all right. Like, listen, he's Drew Lock. He's not a superstar, but he plays good enough, makes the throw he had to make at the end. DK Metcalf made a lot of plays. And, of course, Smith and Jigba with the key touchdown at the end to, do enough here. And also their defense just played really well in this one. Their coverage was winning consistently on the outside. And for Seattle, we all kind of felt like they were a playoff team that might not make the playoffs due to just their schedule, but feels like they have a really good chance to make it now. To play the Titans, the Steelers, and the Cardinals. They go 3-0 there. Feels like they're for sure in.
Yeah, I mean, they really just needed this game because, like you said, the schedule does ease up, but just getting one of these games. I mean, this was a brutal stretch, and they came, pretty close again in that Dallas game. They, probably felt like that was another letdown performance against the Rams, losing that one. But yeah, I just think it's a they really needed this game, and they came up big when it mattered. And like you said, I mean, the big part of this game is this coverage unit, which did a fantastic job against one of the best receiving duos in the NFL. Limited them to 10 catches, and the other guys didn't even do that much to begin with. So I thought it was a fantastic job from this coverage unit. I agree with you, and that was a big reason for their win. I mean, being able to cover these guys is half the battle, and they were able to do it. And then, DK Metcalf has continued to put together a really nice second half of the season after a bit of a slow start. Jackson Smith and Jigba's come along, and, this Seahawks team finally feels like it's found a little bit of a rhythm. I'm not 100% sold on them, especially if, like, Drew Lock has to play long-term. But, like, there's a little bit of a rhythm to this team where we were kind of, criticizing them early in the season for some letdown performances.
Yeah, there's definitely a big one. The flip side, though, is are we sure the Eagles are good?
No, I mean, I don't know what to do with this team at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just did all these changes just before to this defensive coaching staff, and I think some of it's justified. Like, their defense hasn't been as good as it was in years past. They're not performing as well. Maybe there was some regression due based on how they performed last season. But I also don't think the offense is that good either. So,
Mhm.
I think that they get going at times during these games, but like at the same time, like this was not a good offensive performance and kind of just goes into the larger trend that we've been saying this year. Like he's had really good games, but like Jalen Hurts just hasn't straight up been as good as he was last season. And
Yeah.
I don't I don't know how like I don't want to say he's been like as bad as he was like 2 years ago, but like it's somewhere in the middle there, and they really need the Jalen Hurts from last season to show up if this team wants to be taken seriously as a Super Bowl contender, and we just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the thing we talked about with the Eagles versus the 49ers, right, is the Niners have a lot more, maybe, they have more talent, but it's like, well, the Eagles have the better quarterback. Now I don't know if that's true. So, like, if you're not even having the best quarterback play, what are we going to do here? They're not getting explosives, right? Like, that's kind of the
Yeah,
key thing with the Eagles. They need to be getting these explosive plays because, even a team that's really good at running 14 play drives, you don't want to have to rely on that like they're doing. Also, I got to say, Nick Sirianni, listen, I love that you go for it on fourth down. Doesn't mean you have to run the ball on every 3rd and 6. You can still try to convert on 3rd down as well.
yeah. You should be looking to convert on every down.
Yeah,
Not just the
right.
last one.
Hmm.
So I agree with you there. I mean, the thing is like I agree on the explosive play part. I mean, they didn't have a single pass play over 20 yards this game. And
Yeah.
for the whole Jalen Hurts was I think the number one rusher for EPA. And like that's great. Like that's a really good number and that's impressive for a quarterback. And I think people were bringing that up on his MVP when he was the favorite for MVP and all that. But this is still a passing league. Like,
Yeah.
if Jalen Hurts is a great runner, but a below average passer, that's not a very good quarterback to me because he needs to be throwing the ball and you need to be throwing the ball downfield to win a lot of football games. Like you said, they have this very particular brand and style of play that I think works when they're winning football games. It's hard to beat the Eagles when they get in front of you because they can bleed so much of the clock, they can convert first downs. But you can't continue, you can't play that way all the time. In a lot of these close games, you're going to end up losing because you have to have these passing down successes.
Yes. Also, Jalen Hurts, I mean, his passer rating in that game was 40. It's 40.1.
Yeah,
So you got over 40, but not by much. I mean, you can't win like that. You just can't.
yeah. So I don't know. I just think we'll see what happens down the stretch. I mean, they still have opportunities to
Mhm.
figure this out, and maybe we are just giving them the benefit of the doubt because they just made the Super Bowl, so they deserve that benefit of the doubt. But we do need to see them like improve these last few weeks if we're going to say this team's going to challenge San Francisco.
I mean, like, listen, the Niners had a 3-game losing streak as well, right? So, like, it
Yeah.
happens, but still, you have to bounce back. The good news is they're 100% going to win their next 3 games because they're playing the Giants, Cardinals, and then Giants again.
Oh, I mean, it's full panic meter if they lose one of those games, right?
Yeah, if they go 2-1, it's a disaster in that stretch. So, still a shot at the 1 seed, but it's probably not going to happen at this point.
Yep. And Seattle does have a really good shot at the playoff spot now. Like you said, they
Hmm.
where did they end up at the playoff standings after this game? They are the 8 seed currently. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the Saints, the Rams, the Vikings, all 7-7. I mean, the big thing that this does is the Packers with a couple letdown games. Like they're in a we still thought they had a chance to make the playoffs, and they still do, but this is a tough spot now. They're a game behind 14. They got to jump 4 teams to make the playoffs now, and that was a team we were looking at that was kind of rolling a few weeks ago. Hit a little bit of a stumbling block here.
Yeah, Keenan saying, can we finally bury the Packers? And we'll talk about them a bit more when we talk about them, obviously. But I mean, yeah, this was when the Packers were making their okay, here's how we make the playoffs, mindset thing. It was involving the Seahawks losing this game. They still can make the playoffs; they're not dead yet. But this is a blow for a lot of the teams competing for it's a blow for the Vikings as well, and for the Rams. I mean, it's a blow for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So it's going to be, suddenly it looked like it was going to be a boring playoff picture for the NFC. All of a sudden, there's a lot more conversation to be had.
Yeah. Let's talk about this week. Kyle, first off, disastrous week last week. I have retaken the lead. I have a 3-point lead at this point, Kyle. I mean, what a run I am on.
Yeah, yeah, bad week for me. So got to get back to the drawing board here. Gotta execute better in the red zone. Do the little things that make a winner. And so, it's still a long season, still plenty of picks left to go. So I feel like, there's a good chance here that this swings back in my direction.
I think I'm not counting my rings before they hatch just yet, Kyle. But if I do find a way to win this, I think the championship DVD moment might be that locking up the Bills. Everything was going wrong for me. I make a bold lock, all of a sudden, can't miss.
Yeah, I mean that was a gutsy call, and it worked out in your favor for sure.
Okay, well, we'll see if you make maybe a gutsy call or two to try to get the lead back here. As Kyle, you now give me a game first.
All right, first game off the board. I can't quit this team. I don't really know what to do with this team anymore. Let's do Colts at Falcons.
Colts at Falcons. You know what? Let's just start the show off with a bang. I'm locking up the Colts. I can't feel confident in this Falcons team right now with what they're doing offensively. I don't know. The Colts, I don't think are a spectacular team, but all they have to do is win. They're underdogs on the road. I don't know. Give me the Colts and let's lock it up.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad pick, although, I do have some concerns. Like, I do think the Falcons do have an opportunity to cover this Colts team, especially if Michael Pittman's not out there. How do they throw the ball in this game? There is an opportunity for that. I mean, they're going to have to throw a lot over the middle. That's kind of what you do against the Falcons. But I don't know. Like, I'm not like overly like convinced that like, oh yeah, no doubt about it, the Colts are going to go on the road here and win this game. I just feel like that, any given week Atlanta can, play their best ball or play what they did last week and lose to the Panthers.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lock of the week term is more just like it's a term. I mean, I don't think it's literally a lock. Like it's definitely going to happen. But I don't know. I just feel like the Colts are like a solid football team. I feel like is it fair to say the Colts are kind of what the Falcons are trying to be?
In a way, but I also think like I agree. Colts are solid, but the Falcons can easily win any week and lose any week. There's still a lot of variance there, and they can do dumb things like lose to the Panthers, or they can, they've got some big wins under their belt too.
I mean, the way the Falcons win, right, is again get a running game going, and really, I think defensively would be the way they win. Especially if they can get turnovers, which Minshew has. He can put the ball in harm's way. That is something that he can do. It feels like a huge game. I mean, I do think that for the Falcons, if they lose this, they're probably dead. But an opportunity to. If they win this, I think they kind of are right back in the mix in the division. And for the Colts, I mean, again, they're a team fighting for their playoff lives at this point. Kind of feels like a game they have to win if they're going to get in.
Yeah, I definitely think the Falcons are out if they lose this game. Like, yeah, I know that the Bucs do have some challenges here these next couple of weeks, but you would still have to make up basically 2 wins on them to pass them. So I don't see.
And they play the Panthers the final game of the season, so I think that. Odds are basically done if the Falcons lose.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think they're done if they lose this one, but I still think they can win it. I mean, this team just confounds me. That's all I got to say. I mean, I think they're going to make some changes this offseason, but they continue to just befuddle me when they do things like lose to the Panthers.
Is it time for Taylor Heineke again?
I mean, I guess that doesn't move me that much. I don't
rearranging chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, basically. It doesn't change anything for me. I think that they got a problem at the position, and that position's not going to be fixed until the offseason.
All right. Well, we'll see how this game goes. Should be a one with stakes, one with drama, even if it's not necessarily the 2 best teams. Two still teams fighting for their playoff lives. I'm going to give you a game, Kyle, and I'm going to give you one of the games of the week right here. Let's go Cowboys at Dolphins.
Yep, this was next on my list. I agree with you here. I am going to go with Miami.
You're going to lock it up?
I'm not going to lock it up. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about the matchup. That way. Yeah, exactly. Just thinking about this matchup here. Like, I mean, we'll see, because the big thing is just going to be like, can Dallas get after Tua enough to disrupt him from when he, can they get Miami out of this quick passing game? If Tua's throwing the ball out quickly, I think Miami wins this one pretty easily. But at the same time, if they can cover enough, if they can get to Tua enough, disrupt him enough, that's obviously when this Miami offense changes completely. It seems like Tyreek Hill is going to try and play. So I'm also picking this on the fact that I think Tyreek does play. And so, yeah, I think that Miami does win this one. I think they're better equipped to cover Dallas than Dallas is to cover them, just because of all that speed that Miami can throw at you when they're healthy. And I think that's why they win this game.
The Dolphins have also just recently hosted Sue for a workout. Think that could help them?
Probably not this week, but I mean, I don't know. Did he do anything last year? Didn't he play for the Eagles?
I think he played for Eagles for a minute, and then I think they had a good run stopping week, and then everyone's like, "Wow, Sue has changed." But like he didn't do anything. He just he had 15 snaps, and he looked like I don't know, kind of like a washed up player. But everyone was like, "Wow, Sue did it."
Yeah, changing the game, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not investing too much into that, but I like this. Putting Jalen Ramsey out there against CeeDee Lamb, I do think Ramsey can win that matchup. And if you're able to slow down CeeDee Lamb, I think you have a better chance of slowing down the Cowboys. So, yeah, I think without a doubt.
Yeah, that it's interesting, right? I mean, I'm fascinated in how this Cowboys offense responds after a bad week last week. The Dolphins defense has been up and down, and I think this, that matchup is a key one, right? Ramsey on Lamb. It might have to be the other guys coming through.
Yeah, I mean and we've seen at times these other guys be able to come through because you have guys like Jake Ferguson. I continue to say has put together a solid season. Brandon Cooks has had his moments too as that number 2 guy. But yeah, I think they're going to have to consistently produce here, and that's one of the things that Dallas has done so well is they consistently hit these big plays, these explosives that, as we just said, Philly hasn't been able to hit this season, and that's why this offense has really worked. And if you're not able to consistently make CeeDee Lamb a threat, or if he's taken out by one guy, how often can you hit those explosive plays that they've hit this season?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it should be fascinating. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I think I would pick Dallas as well. And you said Dallas, right?
I said Miami.
Oh, you said Miami. What am I doing? Okay, I wrote the wrong thing on my notes. That's why I'm winning. I think I'm going Dallas partially because I am a little worried. It seems like Miami does have a lot of guys banged up, and I think that healthy I would take Miami, but it feels like they have offensive line injuries, which they've been dealing with all season. The Tyreek Hill thing, if he's not at 100%, I think this Cowboys defense should be able to do a pretty good job at. Again, no one can stop this Miami deep offense except for Tennessee, apparently. But I think that they should be able to do a good job of slowing them down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think
don't accuse me of cheating in the chat, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certainly reasons to be concerned for both sides. I think for all the reasons that I thought Dallas's run defense has improved throughout the season, they got pretty beat up last week, and they got destroyed in that running game against that rushing attack last week. And James Cook went off. I think Miami could do just as much of that same effectiveness, if not more, with that Mostert and Achane combination. So if they're, if Dallas sits on their laurels and is so terrified of Tyreek Hill, which they should be, they're throwing everybody deep and they're in deep quarters coverage the whole game. I definitely think Achane and Mostert can have a giant day in this one as well.
Peter in the chat says, I am cheating in order to afford cocaine. Yeah, what's going on with our chat, Kyle? What has happened?
I don't know. You are just now the biggest cokehead on YouTube. That's a huge accomplishment. The Paul brothers started here, so you're on a good track.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of I think I'm even if I did cocaine, it wouldn't even be close to the biggest cokehead here on the platform.
You're gonna be boxing next. We're gonna see you on YouTube celebrity boxing matches.
I don't think that's we're gonna be a hot ticket to sell well. Oh, check out the Jackson Kruger Sports boxing match.
Yeah, you're gonna be on it. We'll get you there.
Yeah. Peter says, never trust a man with a mustache. I guess that means you can trust me, Kyle. This I don't think this counts.
No, it does not. But it's okay.
I just haven't shaved in a couple days.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're all trying.
Where we're talking about.
I'm giving you a game next, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go back to your team. Pick them here. Jags at Bucs.
Yeah, I did have one ahead of this. I think I'm still going Jacksonville. I just keep picking against my team, and it's working out, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'll gladly keep taking the one loss every week if it means my team keeps winning at this point. But I don't know. Are we overreacting to both these teams? This feels like an overreaction to both teams because, I still think the Jaguars' defense is very good. Even though it hasn't been great this month, still think it's very good. I still think Trevor Lawrence is very good. I still don't trust this Buccaneers defense at all. And like Mayfield was great last week. He was fantastic. But, I'm not saying, I don't think that's going to continue every single game. I think there's ways Jacksonville can slow down Tampa Bay's secondary. I think I would pick Jacksonville to win. I was surprised to see this as a pick 'em.
I kind of was too, but at certain times I do get it because, like, I don't know, Mike Evans could dominate this game. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin could dominate this game. What we've seen from this secondary from Jacksonville, and I think a lot of it does have to do with the pass rush too, not being able to help out at all. If they're not able to cover these guys, I think Tampa Bay just showed that they can throw the ball when they have time. Baker Mayfield's not under pressure. He's going to be able to throw the ball and hit these receivers. And if they're able to do that, they're at least going to be able to keep up with Jacksonville, which keeps it close. So I do think that there is an interesting dynamic here where Tampa can go and move the ball in this team. I just don't know if it's going to be consistent enough to keep up with Jacksonville's offense. Like you said, they should also be able to have success against this Buccaneers defense, but we've seen this Jaguars offense kind of be up and down since Trevor Lawrence suffered that injury. So, there is an opportunity here. I think Tampa Bay steals it, but I agree with you that Jacksonville does have a chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know me. I'm always a fan of coverage first and then, pass rush after. So I think that matters more. And Josh Allen's been amazing this season. So they're going to get some pressure.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is like, if he's the only one winning, like, you can't make that your game plan, right? Like, it takes more than one guy. And, they're very much relying on one guy to have success. And, it's regressed the entire defense. It's regressed the entire defense because they don't have those pieces anywhere else that can really provide consistent pressure. And while I do agree that I think the secondary is really important and that having those secondary pieces are important, like, you can't cover forever. And I just think that the snaps that Josh Allen isn't winning are disastrous for this Jacksonville defense, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it should be a fun one though. It's one where it's like, again, I'm a Tampa Bay fan, so I'm viewing it from that angle. It's not really one where we have to win. Like, it's one where it'd be nice and fun to win, but like, it really all kind of comes down to the Saints game, and then just making sure you beat the Panthers, the final game of the season. But for Jacksonville, like, huge stakes. Like I said, in my ESPN playoff machine thing, if they lose this game, they're out of the playoffs altogether. Like, they have to start winning to get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this team is not playing well at the wrong time of the season, and they have everyone's on their back now. They're tied with Indianapolis and Houston. We just mentioned Indianapolis as a team that could easily win this week. Houston, we'll see what happens with them this week. So there's not a lot of margin. There's no margin for error anymore. Oh man, I just don't know. It's hard to predict this AFC schedule and this AFC outlook. And yeah, I mean, I definitely think you think if they lose this game, they're out completely, right? They're not making it at all.
Well, I'm not saying like I'm just saying when I did my predictions that would be. I think this is an important game for them to win.
Yeah, I mean, they can still easily win their final two games. It is the Panthers and Titans, but
that might not get them in.
Yeah, exactly. 10 wins may not make it, or you may lose out on the tiebreaker. So I agree.
Yeah. So huge game in Florida. Let's move on. Let's talk about the game we're all here to talk about. This is the one that we circle on the schedule. Make sure you check this one out. Balls at Jets, the favored New York Jets. Kyle, where are you going?
Not looking forward to this one at all. I am going to take the Jets. I just think that defense is good enough to make things happen. We did see Jacoby Brissett last week, and that looked a lot better. But I still think it's this Jets defense that wins this game, and that's still the best unit of these two teams.
All right, Kyle, give me a game now.
You done?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, fair enough. Bengals at Steelers.
Okay, Bengals Steelers. This was actually, I put this one as my lock, but then I decided to not go there because I like the Colts Falcons, and I try to get my locks earlier in the show. I didn't like last week when I didn't get a pick. I'm picking the Bengals to win this. I mean, again, Steelers starting Mason Rudolph at this point. If I had two locks, I would lock this one up also, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Pickett might play.
That's the X factor, but I still think with Kenny Pickett, and that's part of why I decided to go with the Colts as well. But I don't know. I still can't trust this Steelers offense, even with Kenny Pickett. I'm still taking the Bengals. Overlap 618 in the chat. This is overlap. I bet my entire payroll on the Rams -4. What's the call-in number so I can call and get your opinion on this bet? We'll give it to you later, overlap. But all your money on Rams -4. I don't love that bet. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, that is risky for sure. So we'll see what happens on that one. Rooting for you now, overlap. Thank you so much. About this game, what was I saying? Yeah, I mean, just like how much longer does the Jake Browning thing last? Like, can he do this the whole season? Is he actually going to lead this team to the playoffs? Like, does that change your opinion on does that change your opinion on Joe Burrow? I mean, I just don't know what to make of it if this ends up happening this way. I mean, obviously he's blessed with a really good receiving core that has helped, but like, I don't know, like how much longer does this last until it kind of blows up in their face?
Yeah, but I don't think he has to be great to win this one. Like, just don't be terrible.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't like. Is this really how the Steelers are going to die too? Like, are they just going to die with a whimper? Like, this is it? I mean, I don't know. It just feels like a weird situation to say like the Steelers are dead and they're dead. Like, I haven't liked this team all year, but like, I don't know. Eventually, they're going to pull another one of these games out of their ass because that's just what they do.
Maybe, but like they haven't been doing it. And like look at they did beat the Bengals with Jake Browning, a month ago. So maybe this isn't unfair for me. But I just feel like since then, they got crushed by the Cardinals, they lost to the Patriots, and then got crushed by the Colts. And like those are not good teams that they're getting crushed by. And they lost by, but the Patriots had the lead in that game the whole time, even though it ended up being a 3-point game.
Yeah. It's brutal. It's brutal. I do think Pickett might make this one close. I'll be interested to see how healthy he is and if he is back in the lineup. I do think that might change it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I think I would pick the Bengals right now too, and it's just like this team just, we weren't impressed with Pickett, and all of a sudden he's out and it just ends. And maybe that's just the case. Maybe the Steelers make a lot of changes this offseason too.
Carlos says it's time for a tie. Yeah, this could be a tie. This could be a tie watch here.
That would be exhilarating.
What happens if you pick a tie on this show? Do you get like 5 points knocked off your total?
Yeah, sure. If you want to pick a tie for that, go for it.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I think this one I'm not going to pick a tie, but maybe in future weeks I might do that.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what is the if the Steelers, I guess, what is it? They have to win the turnover battle. Basically,
we know what it is. We know what the Steelers win a turnover battle and make a couple, get a couple of George Pickens plays. Like that's what it always is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, well, let's move on. I'm going to give you a game. I'll go Browns Texans, a game with playoff implications here.
Yeah, I am going to go with the Browns. It sounds like CJ Stroud isn't going to play again. And I mean, I know they won last week and, they bit me on that one because I picked against them without CJ Stroud. But I'm just probably going to double down on that until I get proven up, until, I could keep losing on this for the rest of the year. But obviously, I don't think he's going to be out any longer than this. But it sounds like he's not playing again. And if Stroud's not playing again, I'm not in on Houston. So I'll take the Browns.
Yeah. I did say Joe Flacco was like really bad last week. I felt like I went back and watched that game. Like, he made a couple nice throws at the end, but like that was not a great offensive performance. Luckily for them, basically the Browns defense outscored the Bears offense in that game. So, you do that, you're going to win most games. And they were able to, win that one. Kind of feels like a similar situation could happen here. I do think this is a game that could flip either way. I think both these defenses are good. I do think both these quarterback situations aren't great. And, I don't think Case Keenum's a horrible backup quarterback. I actually kind of like him as a backup quarterback. But, like, they don't have a lot of weapons either is the issue. And this Browns team has been finding ways to win. Feels like this is a defensive matchup that favors them.
Yeah, I think so too. And just like the Garrett factor, like I do think he could dominate this game. And I mean, he's just such a menace that, he's the best player on the field in this game by far. And especially if Stroud's not out there. So yeah, I think that just plays a huge factor. And, I have been impressed with the Texans secondary and their coverage unit and the way they've played, especially these last couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's hard for me to pick a team without a quarterback that I value so highly. And, I do think that swings things, and they managed to find a way. But like, I still go back to like, I watched that game last week, and that was on early from my TV too, and like that team was like really bad to start that game. Like they fell down like 13-0, and then I think Tennessee kind of fell apart. And that defense did play well, so I do want to give it credit. But I just go back to what they were doing in that start that game, and I'm just like, man, I don't think that's really what they are without Stroud, right? Like I don't think this team's going to be very competitive without him.
Yeah, maybe. The Browns are just so funny. I'm looking up like
Yeah.
the EPA per play offensively. They're in the bottom 5. They're 5th worst EPA per play offensively. The Browns are. The other 4 teams: the Panthers, the Patriots, the Giants, and the Jets. It's like it's 4 just of the worst teams of football, and then like a playoff team.
Yeah. I'm not convinced on this team either. We've been over this multiple times. I don't need to get into the Browns thing again. Have Browns fans get mad at us, but I think. I'm not convinced on them either. I think they're better than a team without their starting quarterback. And this is the kind of defense that should dominate a team without a starting quarterback.
Yeah. Low key, Pat's dig from Jacksonville. I don't think I think that's just a thing to bring up.
I don't think it's low key anymore. I think everyone could just dig on the Pats.
They're dead. I think if anything, like it's almost like, oh, hey, Patriots aren't the worst. Only 3rd worst. Nicely done.
Yeah. They have the 2nd pick in the draft right now. There's nothing else they can prove.
I think we know who the Patriots are. No insult intended your way, Kyle.
Yeah, we'll bounce back. We will be back.
Yes. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
What's next on my list here? Overlaps game. Let's go Saints at Rams.
Okay. Next on my list as well. It's a good choice. Yeah, I'm going Rams. I wrote Saints in my notes, but that was a mistake. See, I even screwed up my own notes. It's not every way. No, I have the Rams winning, but I do think this is an interesting game. The Saints, they looked really good last week. I know it's just the Giants, but they looked really good last week. And if Carr is playing good football and he can be potentially back, I do think this is interesting because I do think the Saints can cover well. I do think they can play good defense, and I think their weapons are fine. I don't love their offensive line. It has some issues there, but like I do think there's ways they can potentially, be a solid team. Saints absolutely could make the playoffs. All they have to really do is, beat the Buccaneers and Falcons the final 2 games of the season, and they're in. Although this would certainly help as well. Playing against the Rams, who, I still think the Rams should be favored. Rams offense has played very well. Rams, Matt Stafford has played very well. But I think the Saints could make this one interesting.
Yeah.
Are you accusing me of cheating for screwing up my own notes?
Yep, that's it. This whole week's under protest now. This whole season's under protest. Look, I think, I still think that the best version of the Saints can hang with a lot of teams in the NFC. I don't think necessarily like the top of the NFC, but I think they could beat teams of the Rams caliber for sure. And I mean, these teams have the same records, so that's not like a hot take or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Ramchek's obviously still out. Michael Thomas and IR, this still beat up team a little bit. They are getting some guys back. I think the biggest thing I'm just worried about is like Matthew Stafford's put together like a quietly like awesome season, and like I don't even think the numbers like do justice of how good he's been this year. Like some of the throws he makes week to week are just borderline awesome. And I think he is really good. And I think he might be able to I know the Saints team can't cover well. I know Lattimore's not going to be out there, but they can cover well. But I just think, Stafford could, go and win this game. And I think he's the type of quarterback that can go out and throw on almost any defense. So I do think that's a big factor here for picking the Rams. But yeah, I do think the Saints present a challenge. And I do want to see like this Rams team that has been so up and down and I think so frustrating at times this season because we've seen what they're capable of. This would be a nice like we're going to get this playoff spot now. They've played good football the last 5 weeks. I think that they can go out and win this one and go and, compete for the playoff spots from here. Because I think if they win this one, they should be the Giants next week and they're probably in from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for Stafford. I was just looking up his numbers. Through the first 11 weeks, he only had 1 game where he had more than 1 passing touchdown, and that was he had 2 against Philadelphia. But then he's put together 12 in the past 4 games, so he's had averaging 3 touchdowns a game all of a sudden. So it's like not the passing touchdowns is the anything. But it just, in general, this Rams offense, this past month of the season, feels like it's put it all together finally.
Yeah. I do think that they started to put it all together. And like I said, I mean, like the last 5 weeks, they've won 4 games and then they lost to the Ravens by 6, which, is not, something to feel down about. So,
yeah,
I mean, they've definitely shown that they can compete with almost anybody at this point, and they're not going to be a fun playoff team to play against. So, well, I think the Saints have figured some stuff out as well. And like you said, the last couple of weeks, I think Carr has been better. I also think the Rams have just been better the last 5 weeks, and that's something I'm probably just leaning on right now.
Yeah, it's interesting with those two. Yeah, want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to give you a game. This might be a reach, but you know what? I don't want to pick it. I am going to give you the game of the week, Ravens 49ers. Kyle, who you got?
I'm gonna pick the 49ers. Yeah. I thought about locking it up for a second, but that feels a little too crazy for me. Like the 49ers, I do think are a better team. They still have more top end talent, but like I do think of the teams that, like, if I were to construct a team that could give the 49ers issues, it's a team that could cover well. There's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be as much of those like really like wide open windows that we've seen the last few weeks with this 49ers team. This team can cover well. I think they can cover at all 3 levels too. Like, it's not just like they're going to cover deep. They can cover the line of scrimmage, I think, well too. And I think that's going to play a huge factor, and then the Lamar factor of like, yes, I think this 49ers pass rush is really good, but being a good pass rush is half the battle against Baltimore. You have to be able to bring down Lamar Jackson, which is even more difficult than just rushing the passers. So all of that put together, like, I do think the Ravens have a shot in this game, and I do think that they can give the 49ers a lot of issues, but I do think the 49ers are just more talented top to bottom, and that's why they win.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, I agree. I have the 49ers as well, but I think 5.5 points. I mean, it's crazy how high everyone is on the Niners, and I'm not even saying it's wrong, but just, when have we seen the two teams that everyone is saying like are the favorites in their conference playing each other this late in the season, and one of them is getting a 5.5 point, spread here? Like, that's crazy. Here's why I would be nervous to pick the 49ers, even though I would still do it. 49ers, 4th worst rush defense EPA per play wise. This is the Ravens. We know about their running game. We know they can beat you through the ground. Yes, there's players for the Niners. We get it. Obviously Fred Warner, and Nick Bosa and all those guys can make stuff happen. This is still a team that you can run on, and that's maybe the way that Baltimore could find a way to win.
Yeah, and it is the Ravens, so I mean, they're what? They are 2nd in rushing for the season, 2nd in yards per attempt. I think they're 2nd in rushing touchdowns too. So this team is no slouch when it comes to running the football, and that's what they've been for their entire identity. And not to mention when they can also throw the ball too, and what they've been able to do, throwing the ball more and more with these weapons they have at receiver. I think that just adds such a difficult dimension to this offense that maybe even unlocks their rushing offense more, because you got to pay attention to all these guys. So all of this put together, I do think that there is opportunity for them to give them a lot of issues. I just don't know if it's enough. Like, I still think San Francisco is going to find ways to move the ball enough. I still think that they're going to find ways to get enough stops, and all that put together, I just think it's still too much for me to not pick San Francisco now.
Yeah. Key ran in the chat says Jackson keeps doubting the Ravens even after weeks of proving. When have I doubted the Ravens? I feel like I've been very pro Ravens.
We've liked the Ravens this year.
I picked them to win the division preseason. I feel like as pro Ravens. Are you a Ravens fan? What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I picked the Bengals preseason. Obviously, that was all on the idea of Joe Burrow winning an MVP award, which that isn't happening. But yeah, I mean, I think like they can easily win this game. I think we're rightfully justified to say we'll see what this looks like in January in the playoffs, because this team has the track record now of they don't look as good when it matters, in those playoff games. But as far as this game goes, in this week, they can absolutely win, but the 49ers are the best team in football. So I don't think it's any issue to say that they're going to lose this game.
Yeah, Kieran says it's due to me picking the Chiefs in the he says the ESPN silly machine. I mean, yeah, I did well because that's mostly due to schedule though. That wasn't due to what was never meant as an insult towards the Ravens, who are very good. And you know what? Because I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this, and I'm going to do it because it doesn't matter what I pick for the score. So I'll just say Ravens, even though I totally wouldn't do this if it was my game. But I'm going to pick Ravens to win.
Have at it, man. That's your pick now.
Yeah. I mean, again, it doesn't matter. Nothing really matters here. Debatably, nothing matters anywhere, but that's a conversation for another day.
That's pretty deep. I mean, we can get into that now if you want.
No, I think things matter. Things matter because it matters to us. It's the whole. We don't need to get into the meaning of life. Maybe at the end of the show, that or hockey. We'll do one of the two.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it should be a very fun matchup. I'm very fascinated seeing how the Niners. It feels like the Niners. It's their biggest test, right? I mean, they destroyed all the NFC teams, and I'd have to try and see if they can destroy an AFC one.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need to prove anything to me, but this would just be another thing to add to the resume. I mean, if they like, what do we do if they dominate this game? Like if they dominate this game and say like they've dominated the Eagles, they've dominated the Cowboys, they've dominated the Ravens, like I don't know. It's one of those like, if this were England, they'd be crowned, Premier League champions at that point. Like there's no debate about it. But we have to have the playoff system here, obviously, in America. Yeah, exactly. So they got to go and do it again. But I mean, that would be as convincing as a regular season performance as I think we've seen.
I can't imagine a more boring way to end a sport of like, oh, the Niners won this game, so let's just give them the trophy now, but instead everyone play your last two games.
Well, I mean, they still have to finish out the season, but like, it's all points based, so it's you win by winning the regular season.
Okay, well, we don't need to get into it's just not interesting to me. Could be a Super Bowl preview, as Kieran brings up. Also, a Super Bowl rematch from over a decade ago, and Joe Flacco still playing for a team in the playoffs. Who would have thought?
Yeah. I mean, what a world we live in. Colin Kaepernick does not. No, I'm just kidding. Someone watched the light switches in this game. That's for sure.
Yes, make sure they do that. It should be a great game on Sunday, on Christmas as well, which is interesting. So, make sure you avoid your family to watch that one.
Yeah, a lot of good sports on Christmas, so this should be fun.
Yes. Kyle, give me a game.
We'll do Seahawks Titans. Why not?
Okay, Seahawks. Again, I'm assuming this line is lower due to the Drew Lock versus Geno Smith factor, because it's only 2.5. I still like the Seahawks here, though. Again, I don't think Titans are a terrible team. They're one of the teams like they stink, but they're still like trying. Like it feels like it goes two ways down the stretch. Like they're still trying. They're still doing nice things. Their defense has all of a sudden started playing well. But I'm still not. I'm worried about this Titans offense against the Seahawks defense.
I agree with everything you just said, but the Titans to me are just one of these zombie teams. Like they can beat anybody on any given week, and like it just shouldn't surprise us at this point. So, Derrick Henry had like 9 yards last week. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow he manages like 150. This Titans team just does this stuff to people, and they are frustrating. And I mean, so I would pick the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are a better team, but I just never count out this Titans team against anybody. It seems like they bring worries to me.
You never go into a game playing the Titans saying we're 100% winning. That you can't do that. But I don't know. I think there's a couple games still on the schedule, still left on the pick that I feel like could go another way other than just like voodoo magic.
Potentially. But maybe one of those games is my lock.
Maybe that's true. I guess. I mean, again. Who's covering DK Metcalf? Who's covering Tyler Lockett? Who's covering Jackson Smith and Jigba? The answer might be Drew Lock's ability to throw the football, but that's my concern.
Yeah, I think Geno's going to play too. It seems like he's back. He's going to be back, so I think that helps as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of this is definitely pointed Seahawks, but I don't know. You just never know. I mean, there is opportunity here for them to run the ball on this team, and it's just it is going to be. Tennessee is going to win this in a weird fashion if they do manage to win this game. And I think that's just something that I'm always keeping an eye on.
All right. Well, we'll see if things get weird in Tennessee. Wouldn't be the first time, but I'm going to give you another one of the games that we're all just ready to watch. This is the one where we've been waiting for. Cardinals at Bears. I mean, game of the week here.
Game of the week, indeed. Oh man, I want to lock this up so bad. There are two games I'm looking at. This is one of them. I am going to lock up the Bears. Why not?
Okay, interesting.
Listen, this defense has been good. They've been really good the last few weeks. They force a lot of turnovers. They've caused some problems for these offenses that they face. Now, granted, the Browns are not exactly an offensive juggernaut, but I do not think the Cardinals are offensive or defensive juggernaut. So, yes, Justin Fields does have the propensity to turn the ball over himself, but I think that the Bears have the better chance of winning this turnover battle in this game. And anytime I think the Bears have a chance of winning the turnover battle, I think they can absolutely cover -4 points. So, yeah, I'll take the Bears here to win this one. I feel pretty comfortable that they're going to win this game.
I get it, but I would still, I don't know. We want to talk about teams that find a way to do things. No team finds a way to lose like the Bears do, and I mean we've seen that week after week, especially with we can talk about how good the Bears defense looked last week. Their offense was equally bad. Like I said, they got outscored in that game. If the Bears offense was the only unit to play last week, they would have lost against the Browns defense. Like that's not good. So it's just it's a weird situation with Chicago. There's things to like, obviously, about them, but I don't know. I still just don't trust this passing attack against a bad passing defense. It really is a stoppable force meets the movable object.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, look, the Bears, as I said, they've played better the last 4 or 5 weeks. They have. But even then, it involved a 3-point win against the Panthers and a 2-point win against the Vikings.
Right.
This is not the most comfortable situation, but, maybe I'm reaching here, but, fortune favors the bold. We're riding with the Bears. They are the better team here. They should win.
Okay. All right. Well, we're locking up the Colts and the Bears. We're putting our money on the best teams in football.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you have the chance to pick the Bears -4, you just have to take it.
Yeah. I think really anytime you have a chance to lock up the Cardinals, lock up against the Cardinals -4, that's when you're taking it.
Yeah, that's my argument here.
Yeah. It's a fair one. It's valid. I get it. Any more thoughts or want to move on?
No, let's move on, please.
All right. Well, then give me a game.
Patriots at Broncos.
Okay. Yeah. Again, it feels like a bit of there's a game I'm surprised you didn't pick here, but sure. I get it. I'm going with the Broncos, obviously. But yeah, there's upset potential. Denver has been on a slide, and it feels like the Patriots are going to upset one of these teams, right? I just feel like their defense is playing really well. I still just don't trust this Patriots offense at all, though. So I still think that the Broncos are going to win this one. And again, the world has turned on Denver, but I might like the Patriots +6.5 here.
I think I would like the points too, just because, like you said, this defense has played well. They're not going to lose in a shootout or anything like that, or they're not going to give up a ton of points.
This Christmas Eve game. Why is this the primetime game? Why wasn't this? We can flex, right? Like that's allowed.
For some reason, they flexed the Chiefs out when they played the Patriots, which ended up being close for a little bit there. But this game had to stay. They couldn't.
Yeah, I would rather that one.
But yeah, I mean, the defense is going to keep this close. They're not going to let this become a shootout, and they're going to play a very particular style that is not, aggressive. And Denver doesn't really play that aggressive either. So there's probably going to be a low scoring. I would bet +6.5 just because of the way these two teams play. But yeah, I still think the Broncos are a better team and probably win the game. But I definitely think it could come down to the last drive, which the Patriots never win on the last drive. So that's why you pick the Broncos.
They beat the Bills.
Yeah, they did beat the Bills that way. Although they basically, that's like the one Mac Jones moment of the season. So I guess they have that.
Wild stuff with these two teams. I mean, for Denver though, this is one of those you have to cover here to feel good about yourselves again, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, yeah, they kind of got beat up last week, didn't they? So I mean, to bounce back, get back in this playoff picture, get back in the, they have a chance to still do this. 10 wins still may not get you in, but they should win all 3 of these games. And, if they don't manage to win these least 3 games, it's on them. I know the slow start happened. They got through it. But if they still have a chance to make the playoffs here, and I don't think there's any excuse to lose to the Patriots, Chargers, and Raiders and miss the playoffs.
Remember when the Patriots had Tom Brady and the Broncos had Peyton Manning?
I remember it fondly, most of it.
Do you think we'll get any of like those during the broadcast, some clips from those games?
I mean, there were some really good games even before that, like when Jake Plummer was the Broncos quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is these 2 teams have some history. I wouldn't put it as like a top 5 Patriots rival, but it's a team that caused some problems.
In fairness, the Patriots, they have essentially 31 rivals at this point.
Maybe, everyone's cheering for the demise here. I was having this discussion about, intra-division hatred, and I was like, it's interesting because I think everyone in the AFC East hates the Patriots, but, I wouldn't consider any AFC East team one of our top 5 rivals. So, it's just kind of weird how that shakes out that way. I don't know.
Well, yeah, why would you be mad at a team that you always beat?
Yeah, exactly. That's fair.
Yeah, if you steal from a restaurant, you're not going to be mad at the restaurant, but the restaurant's going to be mad at you.
Yeah, that's true. But it's not stealing to kick ass, so that's fair.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, if you're the one who's always doing the thing that makes the other one feel bad, it makes sense that you don't have that bad feelings about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Screw those losers. Let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Screw those losers, indeed. All right. I'm going to give you a game. I'll give you Lions-Vikings. Fell pretty late to the show. It's a 3-point game. You've already locked up a team, so you went with you just are very high on your Patriots, I think. Kyle, Lions-Vikings. Are you picking the upset here?
No, not at all. I feel pretty good about the Lions in this one. This was the other game I was thinking about locking up, and I probably should have done it. Like the roadmap for beating the Lions. I know this Vikings defense has been really good this year, and honestly, blown away my expectations. Brian Flores, if there was an Assistant Coach of the Year award, Brian Flores should be like top of the list. Honestly,
I love when people say that because there is an Assistant Coach of the Year award, but people always say it all the time. Like if there was an Assistant Coach of the Year, it's just no one knows, no one cares about it.
If there was a more public Assistant Coach of the Year award, I think Brian Flores would deserve consideration here. I think this Vikings defense is a problem. But yeah, I mean, I think the problem is like we know the roadmap to beating Detroit, and it's outscoring them. Like I think this defense is good. I don't think they're going to stop Detroit enough, and the path to beating the Lions is outscoring them. They're probably going to put 21 on this game, and I think 21 might be enough to win this game by over 3 points. So I think that's the problem with this matchup for me. Like I do think the Vikings defense is going to compete, but it's not enough to carry whatever's left of this offense. So give me the Lions.
Well, I think so. Like we have seen the Lions offense kind of, it was amazing against the Broncos, right? But we have seen it, I think, in recent weeks, not look as good. It obviously both Bears games were, with the exception of the last 4 minutes in the first Bears game, were not great. Even the Saints game, they put up 33, but they basically got spotted a 21-point lead to start that game because with turnovers and short fields and stuff like that. I think they had one long touchdown drive in there as well. But then they scored 22 against Green Bay. I think that the way you win this, if you're the Vikings, is the turnover thing, which again, you can win any game that way. There's always that factor, but I think there actually is a very real chance. Flores, was he the one calling plays during that Super Bowl, if I remember correctly? I would like to check that, but I believe he was at least there.
The Rams one?
What's that? Yeah,
the
Jared Goff Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there for that one.
Yeah. So I mean, he's someone who knows he knows what to do to a Jared Goff team, and that's something that maybe is a way you can win. Now I agree. You're going to have to put up points, and it's going to be, again, the stoppable force versus the movable object. But if Justin Jefferson is playing, I mean, which he should be, then, I mean, that's going to be tough for the Lions, right? Even if it is Nick Mullins trying to get it to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit more of a challenge, but I'm just never going to trust a Nick Mullins-based situation. So,
sure.
Maybe Justin Jefferson does boost that a little bit. I just don't think it's enough. And, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Brian Flores against Jared Goff, obviously the history there and what they're able to do, but I don't know. This isn't the same Jared Goff, and I don't think it's. I think it's a different Lion. I think it's a different offense and a better offense, honestly. So I just think that there's enough there to be able to get enough points here. And I still think if the Lions reach the 20s, I don't think the Vikings are matching that, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying I'm picking the Lions to lose this game. I'm picking the Lions.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think the Vikings have a better chance of winning this week than the Patriots do.
Yeah, probably. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not trusting. I say no. I think this offense is too much of a problem.
Okay. Well, we'll see. And I'll just be clear. I'm not expecting a repeat of the Jared Goff Super Bowl. I'm just saying he was there. I feel like that's a pro in the Vikings corner.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's very much of a chance, but it's like I said, none of this pick has anything to do with the Vikings defense, because I do think that they could win battles in this game, but if they're not creating enough turnovers, I just don't see it.
So you're not buying into the Vikings going 3-0 down the stretch, beating the Lions twice and the Packers, and then the Lions going 0-3, losing to the Vikings twice and Cowboys, and then the Vikings winning the division.
No, I am not.
Lions could clinch the division with a win. That'd be fun.
Yeah, big game for Detroit. This would be huge for this franchise, and after some really bad weeks, they looked good last week, and maybe they find their footing again. I mean, who knows what it looks like going forward?
Yeah, I think the Lions' offense should be fine. They have a lot of weapons. Just as long as they don't lose the turnover battle, it should be okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's move on. Why don't we, Kyle? 4 games left. Give me one of them.
Let's go with. I guess we'll pick the Packers-Panthers.
Yeah, I mean it's the game. I mean, Panthers have been playing competent football as of late, right? Like they look like an actual. If these were the first, if the last 4 games they played were like the first 4 games they started the season with, like we'd be saying, oh, they might win, 5 games this year. It's just that obviously, they were terrible to start. But the Panthers defense actually just started playing well. So I still think the Packers are going to be able to throw the ball in this one. I still think they're going to be able to move the ball in this one. But we talk about stoppable force versus movable objects. I mean, it doesn't get more than the Packers defense versus the Panthers offense here. Talk about matchup of the century.
Yeah, if the Panthers offense manages to score a lot of points, regardless of the result, they should make all of their changes during the season that they wanted to do this offseason. Just get rid of everybody. This would be an embarrassment. And yeah, I mean, there's no more excuses for this Packers defense. I mean, it's been much talked about. I think I think Joe Barry might be the least favorite person in all of Wisconsin. Like number one. I think he's probably at the top of the list, and I think it's a bit of a problem. And yeah, I mean, if it's bad this game, you can just tank the season, tank the rest of the year.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I mean, I don't know. But they're not as mad at Favre anymore, right?
No, I think they're fine.
Yeah, and I don't think they had quite the anger at Rodgers as they did at Favre.
I don't even know who else would be on that list.
Yeah, because it can't be. I don't know. There's no real division rival that you would point to. Is Tom Brady maybe?
What, for that playoff game?
Yeah, and just in general, because Rodgers doesn't get put in the GOAT conversation because he's in Brady's shadow.
Yeah, maybe. I guess so. I don't know. I want anybody from Wisconsin. Say the top 5 least favorite people.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know. Probably Joe. Right now, I think Barry has to be the number 1 on that list. Any final thoughts on this game?
No, we're good. Let's move on.
Okay, I'm going to give you a game here. 3 games left. 3 games are Bills, Chargers, Giants, Eagles, and Raiders, Chiefs. I'm going to give you Raiders, Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was next on my list. I mean, I get it. This Chiefs offense continues to look uninspiring. The Raiders, they didn't win the game, but they jumped out to a 14-0 lead on them a few weeks ago. So maybe there's some juice there that can make it a little more interesting. But no, I'm picking the Chiefs. I mean, this should be a Chiefs win. They're the better team. They are at home. All of this says Chiefs. So yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, and hopefully they start better than they did a couple weeks ago.
Right, because obviously, they played each other late November when the Raiders went up 14-0, but the Chiefs ended up then outscoring them 31-3 down the stretch. Key ran in the chat says, "Will Patrick punch Tony this week?" Maybe.
I mean, at this point, it has to be on the table. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Just keep letting him getting away with this?
I mean, it's at the point where like I don't get why he's still like. I get why you
Getting
keep him on the
snaps?
roster, I guess. But yeah, but he should be a depth player at this point.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. And like, this should be the ball should be exclusively going to like Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. You can mix in some Watson in there or whatever too, but yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be getting touches.
I mean, the whole reason why Rashee Rice wasn't getting like as many snaps, right, was because like, hey, that's just kind of how they do it. They don't have players, they don't really have unless when Tyreek Hill was there, he was out all game. Like usually, you don't have guys just out the whole game for Kansas City. But like, also part of it was like he was fumbling and like he had fumbling issues. Like Kadarius Toney is nowhere near what Rashee Rice is bringing to the table, and like he's like getting the same amount of snaps. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't know. So as it comes down to this, like there's no excuse for the Chiefs. This should be a game that they go out and kick some butt. Hopefully they can start to put this together because we want to see, as much as we, make fun of like the tantrums and all that, we still want to see this team compete for a Super Bowl. And, if Patrick Mahomes is in a competitive environment, it's better for the league. So we'll see if they're able to figure this out the last few weeks.
Yeah. Ben brings up Rashee Rice has more drops than Kadarius Toney. Well, that's probably true, but that's part of because he's getting open more and getting more targets. But like, I'm also not saying I'm not saying Rashee Rice is Tyreek Hill. I'm just saying he's clearly their best wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. And hey, Raiders are coming off of a 63-21 point win. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that either.
Mm-hmm. And for the Chiefs, I mean, again, 1 seed is still very much on the table because you got to make up 2 games against Baltimore, but they play San Francisco, who you considered locking up against with 5.5 point spread, and then they play the Dolphins. So it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's still a chance there for it. They still got to make, Miami could still be in that mix too. So,
Keyran doesn't agree.
It's not impossible.
It's possible, Keyran. You can't sit here and say that it's not a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, they could easily win out. Like, it's not crazy to say the Chiefs are going to win the rest of their games. So, it's a, it's going to be a interesting variable down the stretch. The Ravens still have to win.
Keyran's mad at me, so now I'm going to actually take back. Now I'm picking the Niners to win.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on. 2 games left. You're giving me the Giants at Eagles.
Sure.
I mean, that's what you're doing, right? I mean, you're saying sure like you weren't sure. Like, of course you're going to be this one.
Yeah, I mean, who cares, I guess. I mean, yeah, I would. I would. Giants.
I'll take the other one if you want. I'd much rather pick, Bills Chargers.
Giants and Eagles was next on my list. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just again we'll get into the Bills Chargers in a second, but the Giants are I'm picking the Eagles, but Eagles are reeling a little bit here. Giants have played better football, not last week, but as of late. Like, I think obviously smart money is on Philadelphia in this game, but like, I don't know. Could they cover a 12-point spread? Sure. I could see the Giants covering a 12-point spread.
Yeah, they could. I agree with that. Let's just see, like, the Eagles defense should come out here and dominate this game, right? Like, if they're giving up points to this offense, like, I mean, I just don't even know what to do anymore. Like, you could just hit the panic button over and over again. Like, they should be able to cover this team well and stop this game.
Yep. Yes, they should. And they haven't had much trouble playing the Giants. They didn't have much trouble last year. I believe they blew them out 3 times. And I'm expecting another blowout here. It's a get right game, right?
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
What's your do they get right though? Because again, that's the other factor, right? Is what if they play this and they only win by 10?
I guess it really just kind of depends on the performance, but yeah, I mean, if this is uninspiring, like, I mean, I'm already kind of hitting the panic button with this team because they just haven't looked as good. Like, even when they were winning all the games, like, never mind when they were on the 2-game losing streak. We've been saying all year, this team hasn't been as good as it was last year. Like, this isn't new for us. We've been saying all season that this is a team that looks a little worse than it did last year. And this is why, like, I wasn't happy when they said Jalen Hurts was the MVP favorite and things like
Right.
that. Like this is the team that even when the results were in their favor, we were like, we don't know about this team. And then now the results are swinging in the direction we were saying, and we're still saying we don't know about this team. But I'm not going to go too far the other way and say like the Eagles are done. Like I've been panicking about this team the whole season, but like I'm not in full on meltdown for this team.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. I guess, do you still want the 5 seed if you're the Eagles? I feel like we've been kind of saying like, oh yeah, 5 seed way better than a 2 seed. I'm not sure if that's the case now. Like I feel like, Tampa Bay and New Orleans have both been playing better. Like I'm not sure, it doesn't. I don't know who exactly you'd get. I guess it's either the Seahawks or the Rams. But like you also have to factor in, then you'd be getting you'd be playing on the road in the divisional round as opposed to at home in the divisional round. So I don't know. Maybe I would rather have the second seed at this point.
No, I would too, because I was thinking about it, and the whole reason why I think we were saying potentially the 5 seed is because we were envisioning the Packers beating the Lions when the Packers were rolling in the playoffs. But with the Lions kind of fixing themselves last week, Packers slipping a little bit, like there's a chance you're going like as the 5 seed. There's probably a better chance still that you're going on the road to San Francisco, coming off a bye week in the divisional round, and that's not what you want. That's definitely not what you want.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan with an extra week of preparation does not sound like something I want to deal with.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, definitely. I didn't even really think about that, but yeah, definitely a division matters. So for Philadelphia, winning these next 3 is what you got to do. So all right, let's go to the Bills at Chargers. It's a 12-point spread. Kyle, this was a lock candidate for me.
It was too. I might take Bills minus 20. Outline this thing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
This Chargers team sucks. I mean, how hilarious would it be without Brandon Staley? This team looks awesome.
Yeah, that would have been that would be pretty good.
But I don't envision that happening. So yeah, I think the Bills should crush. Josh Allen's going to dominate this defense. It's not going to be close. So Bills.
Icicle Edis in the chat says, just curious, has Jackson done any cocaine yet? Peter said all the time, and Kieran said all of it. So the chat we're just running with the rumors.
Yeah. You are, I'm still saying it, you're the biggest cokehead on YouTube.
Biggest cokehead on YouTube. Again, I don't think that's true.
Well, show me the evidence that proves otherwise.
Do I need to do a drug test or something? Kyle, you'll be in Florida, right? We can do a drug test when we're there.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, okay. We're gonna have to back this up.
Yes, exactly. Bills Chargers. I don't know. The Chargers.
I might need to be on cocaine to watch this game. Honestly.
Yeah, we were both going with a cocaine-related joke there. I don't know. This feels like the get-right game of all get-right games. I might take the Bills minus 30 here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. Josh Allen, like, what did they do to stop Josh Allen? Have Khalil Mack have one of his 3 good games this season?
Yeah, I don't know. Khalil Mack's actually just been good. Like I didn't really realize, but I was looking at it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say that.
Stats, he's nowhere near one of the best in football, but he's actually he has had a good season. It's funny that he had that 6-sack game where so it's okay, his stats are inflated. He's actually had a good year, but he just also has been really lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. This game is not fun to talk about. I'm done talking about the Chargers.
Okay, we had a few that we just kind of tried to get through quickly.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about, but some of these teams are actually eliminated now. I'm sorry, we're not going to talk about you as much anymore, unless something really interesting happens. But
yeah, exactly. All right, Kyle. That is our show. Again, should mention here, if you missed it at the beginning of the show, but are just catching live at the end, no show for either of the next 2 Sundays. So we'll be back. Next time you'll see us is a week from today, and then the next time you'll see us after that is 2 weeks from today. Just due to the holidays, we're not. It's hard to. It's a hard sell. Hey, family, I'm going to go podcast for at midnight on a holiday. During New Year's, I won't be able to see the ball drop. We'll be talking. Bills Chargers.
Yeah, I don't do much Christmas Eve at midnight, but yeah, I think New Year's Eve would have been a little tough. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think so. So I'll still be making videos and stuff for those days. So don't worry. about that. Kieran says, big win from Tampa last night, 6-1 versus the Blues. We're back. Kucherov, 2 more goals. I talked hockey, so I guess no meaning of life. We'll have to save that for next week. Next week we'll do the meaning of life.
All right, sounds good. So meaning of life next week. Everyone gather in for that, and join us at 5:00 Eastern.
Yeah, and Kyle, let me know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out, or X if you want to call it that.
I don't want to call it X, so make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grondin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio-only podcasts, if you want to listen to us, don't want to have to look at our faces, just search On the Sideline Podcast anywhere you get your podcast. You can listen to us there if you're on a road trip or something, commuting from work. You know the point of podcast. I didn't have to mention that part. That's our show.
That is our show. Let's get out of here. Everyone have a good night.
Yes, everyone have a good night. We'll see you a week from today. If you like cocaine, watch. Yeah, all the cocaine users, make sure you thumbs up. Thumbs up for cocaine.
You'll probably like triple your subscriber base.
I think probably a lot, right? There's probably more than like 300,000 people that do cocaine.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
we need more cocaine users, honestly.
Yeah, would that be a good maybe marketing thing of like find a cocaine dealer and it's like start slipping like little ads into cocaine.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean this is a good idea. Yeah. This is a huge money-making business.
I think so. Everyone, don't do drugs. All the young people watching, we do not condone. No one here does cocaine. At least I don't do cocaine. I can't speak for Kyle, but no cocaine here. And that's our show. Thank you, everybody. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.